Here we are moving into game number 3. EG.StrifeCro is our blue Zerg in the northeast position, and the one and only Drewbie is our red Terran in the southwest position. So far Drewbie has done some very nice things, but this is going to be a bit more of a macro map. StrifeCro is going to be able to take that third and feel, or excuse me, take that natural and feel pretty secure in doing that. You always have to worry, though, on coL.Drewbie about that low ground. Drewbie being able to siege up and start harassing that natural very, very easily. So all things to consider here, but it looks like StrifeCro is, nope, just doing normal stuff. Thought I saw something weird.
And I'm getting some lag here. Is it just me?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
that was
slight lag. Hopefully the stream didn't die, and there we are on our way back, so my apologies for that. You may have to press the old F5 on your browser to bring back the stream. But as Janitor mentioned, all things to consider here. This is great macro conditions, but on this particular map, siege tanks are extremely powerful at the bottom of this hill, as you mentioned. There we go. It looks like we are back, so once again, I do apologize. Comcast always doing those hiccups to us, Janitor, out of my poor control. But we should be ready to go as soon as these players are ready. We can resume the game and get back underway.
That's right. Make sure that they're ready. There we go. All right, so we're back into this game. I did want to give everyone plenty of time to be able to not miss any of this epic action.
Yes. So anyhow, we'll see what openers these players go for. One thing that some Zerg players will do on this map to play some mind games, I actually open with a 10 pool, even though the positions are so far away. It is just not something that players expect. You always expect someone to fast expand on this map. Sometimes just throwing a wrench into the mix is a fantastic choice as far as openers are concerned. It doesn't look like StrifeCro is going to do that, though. He is saving up those minerals, and here comes Mr. Drone to drop down that hatchery right at about 300 minerals in the natural. So StrifeCro will be sticking to the norm here, and it looks like Drewbie is going to be getting a fairly fast gas. Certainly not going to be doing a no-gas expand. Janitor, what are your thoughts about this refinery timing here for Drewbie?
Well, you know, it's pretty standard, especially at the beginning of StarCraft's life. Always getting that gas early. It's only been a couple months since we've seen a lot of players skip the first gas and opt for going 2 racks or early command center. So this is actually a pretty normal timing. Going to be able to get a factory out a little bit early. So you know, it opens up for a lot of builds. You know, you can do almost anything from this. As you see, Drewbie is going to be trying to wall off here with kind of a bit of an, oh no, that's a fairly normal wall off, but I've seen better wall offs in my opinion. But anyway, Drewbie is going to be throwing down that factory pretty quickly. Like I was saying, this racks and then refinery quick means you can transition into just about anything. You can do banshees, you can throw down this factory and then expand. Any kind of build is basically viable with the exception of 2 racks or anything like that. So the big thing is the timing on that second one. So as Drewbie throws down a reactor on his barracks, going to be going for those Hellions pretty early, almost certainly, although it is not out of the question to go Marine Siege Tank with some heavy Marine numbers out of that barracks.
Certainly right, and one thing I would love to see out of StrifeCro to switch it up a little bit is to get some roaches. We haven't even seen a roach warren come down for StrifeCro yet, and in my humble opinion, I think that's been a little bit to his doom. He just hasn't been able to deal with those Hellions in a super effective manner without minimizing his losses. So I would love to see that roach warren come down, but it doesn't look like we're going to see that super early here, as he is no longer mining gas, and those pesky roaches do suck that gas dry. We are going to see Drewbie go ahead and go for another pretty quick expand here. Pretty well timed indeed. We do see the reactor on the factory now, so no blue flames right away, but some Hellions will be coming out nice and quickly here. So it will be a Hellion opener for Drewbie, still on 1 gas himself. As you mentioned, that really is the telltale sign when a player is going to start teching up. We do see Drewbie moving in now with this SCV. He sees the timing on the expansion, sees the pool, didn't see a roach warren, but didn't get that full scout. So it's still a possibility, but the fact that he didn't see it is certainly a good sign for his Hellion opener. We're going to see some Lings pop out for StrifeCro. We'll see what he does with them. Looks like he is just going to try and play some defense here. That Evo chamber is coming down nice and early as the Lings begin to move out. They may cross these Hellions somewhere in the middle of the map. Xel'Naga tower control is certainly going to be huge. These Hellions will get sight of the Lings running through, and they should be able to defend this bit of pressure pretty easily. The wall off from Drewbie is appropriate, and these Lings really shouldn't be able to do too much devastating damage.
That's right. These Lings are trying to establish him some map control. StrifeCro doesn't know that those two Hellions are out there, but if he finds them, he will easily be able to surround them. He could just leave the Lings out in the middle of the map, but you have to worry about all of those Hellions frying up the Lings. A good surround, though, always a great answer for those. For the double reactor factory, Drewbie's going to be able to produce Hellions 4 at a time, and he really wants to start dominating that map control with just Hellions, as you see, moving out the orbital command, preparing for what looks like a Baneling bust. He's ready for it. Unfortunately for him, StrifeCro not going to be going for that Baneling, just continuing the macro game, throwing down a Spine Crawler to try and defend against the Hellions, and getting that +1 upgrade very, very quickly as he has complete map vision. Great job holding those Xel'Naga towers. Two Hellions that are out and on the map look like they're going to fry up a Zerglin and get some map vision.
Yeah, and I have to give credit to both these players right here. Drewbie, given the amount of intel he has, seeing only Zerglings, seeing that there's no gas units on the field, preparing for that Baneling bust is just so smart. He's preparing for the worst, and that is the sign of a well-seasoned player who is pretty well-practiced. We do see Drewbie moving in with these Hellions, but unfortunately they are going to get surrounded by those Lings. StrifeCro as well, dropping that Baneling nest. It was scouted by Drewbie, but I think the Baneling nest was a smart choice. I still think some roaches would be a great complement to that Ling mix, but we'll see what StrifeCro does. Drewbie hasn't done any sort of super crippling pressure yet. The game is still within reach of both players. We see StrifeCro is ahead by about 12 harvesters. Now about 15 as a few more pop out. And this macro hatch from StrifeCro is pretty interesting. Obviously, the Sim City is hugely advantageous, but it's interesting to see him drop that hatch so early in the base instead of just going for a very quick third. I think on this map, a quick third might have been a little more advantageous, but we'll see how it plays out for him as so many Hellions cross the map. Looks like 17 Hellions are on the board in Janitor. This is a scary force. No blue flame on these Hellions, but still a lot of potential to do some serious damage here as we see that Queen almost falling with nice transfuse, but she falls anyway as those Hellions just do so much AoE damage.
That's right, but great job by StrifeCro walling off the best he can, but Drewbie is just going to chill in this choke, and those Zerglings are not going to be able to walk in because they will all get fried, but here comes StrifeCro trying to get a decent surround. All of the Hellions, so many from Drewbie are now frying up a lot of those Zerglings. 20 more Zerglings are on the way, but at what cost? Drewbie is going to be able to continue this harassment. 14 Hellions still remain, and they're going to start frying up the workers. Wow, Drewbie with so many Hellions, not something that you see very often. Now he's completely destroyed that natural. StrifeCro trying to get a good surround with those Zerglings, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Drewbie just continuing this Hellion pressure, and oh my goodness, I'm completely wrong. StrifeCro had a very nice surround there, and Drewbie now is forced to back off. So if we take a look at the units lost tab, the workers killed tab, 19 workers killed for Drewbie, who still has quite a few Hellions out on the board, 11 Hellions out right now, and he's going to continue this map dominance just by moving out, but the Roach Warren is out. As you see, those Roaches are pushing up, making those Hellions run away, but that could have been a lot worse for StrifeCro, who's now even on the drone count with Drewbie.
Yeah, certainly. Being able to sit back allowed him to over-drone a little bit, so he had a nice little buffer of workers, and now, as you mentioned, it is just about dead even. And it looks like this macro hatch for StrifeCro did come quite in handy. That SimCity really limited the amount of damage Drewbie could do, but still frying up 20 harvesters is absolutely a fantastic play from Drewbie, and killing all those Zerglings as well. StrifeCro does have those Roaches out, as you mentioned, but it might be a little bit too late for those Roaches now. If he had them out just a bit sooner, he could have prevented some of those losses. We are going to see a small counterattack from StrifeCro right in the natural, actually getting some nice kills here on these SCVs and these Mules, and he will be able to level out that Harvester count a little bit as the Hellions come back to do some damage to these workers. Going to look at the workers killed. Killing only 3 workers there, but not too bad. Only lost a couple of Lings. But meanwhile, in the base of StrifeCro, we do see the Baneling nest is still alive. It did survive that assault, and the Spire is now more than halfway complete. So hopefully StrifeCro can finally get some mutas on the board, something he's been trying to do in all of these games, and hopefully it'll work well for him here as some more Hellions head towards his base.
That's right. He's going to have to be careful. Actually, Drewbie doing something interesting, just transitioning into what looks like a Marine siege tank army. You see the medevac is on the way. Those Hellions trying to poke up, but not enough damage as there are plenty of Roaches out for StrifeCro, who desperately wants to take that third. Is just 2 health on those destructible rocks and would love to start it, but another counterattack by those Zerglings is going to be shut down, as you see. Drewbie just doing a nice job having some units there to deal with those Zerglings. And StrifeCro now teching up, like you said, 2 Mutas, 8 are on the way. The +2 melee attack is coming down from those Evo chambers as well. There are 3 Queens out on the board, and he's going to be able to start that 3rd base here pretty quickly as soon as he gets about 300 minerals. Oh no, looks like Zyori is
Oh my.
a bit. Alright, hopefully you're back.
Yes, I am. Not sure where this lag is coming from.
It's okay. 11 Mutas are on the way. Like I said, that melee attack level 2 going to be coming as well. Drewbie does have both of those refineries up and trying to take his 3rd. But this is where it gets interesting. It's all going to come down to how Drewbie reacts to these Mutas. If the Mutas do tons of damage or prevent Drewbie from moving out for quite some time, StrifeCro is going to start taking a huge advantage. There are 4 Hellions though loaded up into a medevac. Looks like they are getting ready to drop into StrifeCro's base.
Yes, indeed, and we'll see how StrifeCro deals with this here. As his units are slightly out of position, we do see the Mutas moving into the natural here and doing quite a bit of damage. A lot of these workers are going down, but there are plenty of stimmed up Marines here, and this lag is awful. Janitor, I'm going to have to reset after this because I don't know where this is coming from.
Right, hopefully we're all back, but all of the Mutalists did do quite a bit of damage. Kill, but here comes the drop. Drewbie does have 4 Hellions in there, and it looks like StrifeCro's trying to line him up for him. Drewbie trying to get a good shot off. There's one shot. Oh, and another one's going to do so much damage. Drewbie is going to get cleaned up here, but at what cost? 42 SCV or 42 drones now out on the board for StrifeCro. If you take a look, the workers killed, 25 workers killed for Drewbie as the Mutalists continue their harassment in the base here, doing as much damage as possible, taking out those reactors. Drewbie trying to deal with it as best as he can, stemming up all his units, and StrifeCro running away without losing very many Mutas at all. Here they come back, trying to do some harassment. Drewbie has 2 missile turrets down.
Yeah, exactly right. A great defense from Drewbie right there as Drewbie moves into his 3rd. And still a pretty even game. StrifeCro's done a great job with those Mutas. As we see, that worker killed count is a little bit more even. That Hellion drop did do quite a bit of damage. Looking at the workers here, just about dead even, around 50 for both players. We see a lot of mules for Drewbie down at his 3rd as StrifeCro continues to macro up here. He does have his 3rd up and running now. The gas is on the way, and he should be able to keep pumping these Mutas. So far, he's done a great job with this group of Mutas he's massed up for himself, and hopefully he can continue to do well with these Mutas. It looks like he may be able to get a couple of free Hellion kills here. Not quite. He is going to be forced to back it up as he doesn't quite have all of those troops there as Drewbie moves into a position to defend his newest base. Great map awareness from Drewbie right there, keeping that base safe and sound. We do finally see the infestation pit coming down for StrifeCro in the back of his main. Hopefully we'll see that hive tech before too long here, and possibly even some of those dreaded infestors. A free refinery kill for StrifeCro there, doing a great job abusing the mobility of these Mutas and forcing Drewbie to continue moving around the map and pulling those units out of position. Very good play from StrifeCro.
That's right, killing one of those supply depots and supply capping Drewbie. Drewbie is moving out with this Marine Siege Tank Harvey, but something very, very important to note is that there is no Siege Tech done yet again. StrifeCro is going to be out of position, though. If Drewbie starts pushing up into the main, he's going to be able to get a good surround, and StrifeCro now throwing down 4 Spine Crawlers in the base as he moves in for a bit of a counterattack here, surrounding that bunker, and now just doing so much damage to the Terran base. But Drewbie wants to push in. No Siege Tank here. The single target fire of those tanks is going to be what he relies on as the natural from Drewbie goes down. A lot of roaches are in the way. We're in line for a base trade, ladies and gents. There are 7 tanks out right now doing so much damage. StrifeCro's 4 hatches are down, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. He just needs to do just enough damage to those production facilities and run away. Drewbie stemming up some of those Marines to do so much damage to the worker line and all of the units in the base of Drewbie as well. StrifeCro is going to lose a couple of those Mutas to a turret, but wow, Drewbie with a nice split here, just continuing the pressure. Siege Tech is now about almost halfway done. StrifeCro is going to lose his natural, and it looks like they just want to base race this out, and I'm not sure that that's a good decision from StrifeCro. StrifeCro is trying to throw down some of his hatches out along the base to prevent himself from losing just by losing those buildings.
Yeah, certainly right. StrifeCro is doing a good job here. As you mentioned, that split from Drewbie was absolutely a smart choice. But StrifeCro doing a good job as well. He did actually deny that siege tech as he did destroy that factory and the add-on with it. Looks like Drewbie is pulling ahead in the base race, but do keep in mind these extra hatcheries. It is going to be a little bit rough for StrifeCro.